Hey everybody, Scott the Uncensored Chef here. Today we are going to do a very simple version of salsa, nice and fresh. Today we're doing Pico de Gallo. Alright, so today we are going to do a very simple salsa. We're going to do a really quick and nice and fresh Pico de Gallo salsa. Really all you need are 5 basic ingredients and some salt and pepper, and you can have a really great condiment that will go great at parties. It's really delicious. It goes great with chips, obviously. Nice to have around. We're going to get right into this. It's not going to take a lot, so here we go. First of all, we're going to dice a red onion, really nice and fine. So I like a lot of onion in my salsa, so we're going to do an entire onion. So we're just going to cut that in half, run a line right through the middle. We're going to run our knife as thick as we want our dice to be. And then we're just going to let the weight of our knife run through there and just quickly dice this onion. Now, I do like a lot of onion, but I also like it quite fine. I like it to disappear a little bit, but also really leave that nice intense flavor, especially with the purple onion that carries a lot of sweetness. So we're just going to get it right down to there. And then we're going to do the same thing with our other half. So we're going to go about halfway through. And again, just run our knife right down to make channels for our dice. And then just use your knife and guide it all the way through. Now this does look like a lot of onion, but remember that the citrus that we're going to add to this and all the citric acid is going to break it down quite heavily. So we're going to take this onion, we're just going to put it right into our bowl. And this is going to be our base. All right, so after the onion, we're going to go into our tomatoes. Now, I personally use Roma tomatoes. I like the firmness of them. Now, what tomatoes you use are completely up to you, obviously. Whatever flavor and whatever style of tomato you enjoy, feel free to use, but Romas are my suggestion. So we're just going to cut these guys straight halfways, and we're going to open them up. Now, I will do one extra little step with my tomatoes, just to make this salsa a little cleaner, and we're going to pull the seeds out of these. Now, it is a little bit tedious, but I think it's worth it. The little extra steps that you take really kind of define how fine of a product you make. So I'm just going to take a bowl and a spoon, and then almost like kind of getting into an avocado, you're just going to get underneath your seeds, right along the spine, kind of cut right there with your spoon, and then just scrape, and those tomatoes can get out of there. Now, you can use those insides for other things. You can actually make quite a good salad dressing by taking those tomato guts and blending them with a little bit of oil and vinegar, a little bit of herbs. But for today, we are just going to get rid of them, because for this salsa, I like to keep the moisture content in check. And by pulling your seeds and the center of your tomatoes out, you are really going to keep your moisture in check, and that is very important for good salsa. It's also going to allow your salsa to last a few extra days inside your fridge, because you are going to have a little less water. So we're just going to keep doing this until we're all done. All right, so now that we've got all of our tomatoes seeded, we're ready to give them a nice dice. So once again, we're going to go back to our knife. Move most of these out of the way. So, right across the half, and then each one of those, we're going to cut 3 slices to make these little tomato fillets. Turn them along, and then we're just going to run your knife through, and we're going to give them a really nice medium small dice. So this is really going to set your texture within the actual salsa itself. So we're just going to keep doing this for all of our tomatoes. Make 6 little fillets. And then just run your knife through them nice and quick and get a really nice dice out of them. All right, so now that we have all of our tomatoes diced, we can get these in the bowl with the onions. Now, the reason I like to put the onions on the bottom, followed by the tomatoes while I prep the rest of this salsa, is I like to allow that tomato juice to start to run down on top of those onions. And that citric acid is going to start to soften everything ahead of time. So it's going to kind of start the process off for us before we even really get into it. So I'm just going to give my board a real quick wipe here. Some of that extra tomato juice off there. And now we're going to get into the next step, jalapeno. So jalapenos are a pretty entry-level hot pepper. I like them because of the firmness and the actual size of the pepper, and they're very versatile. You can do a lot with these. You can pickle them sweet or hot, and they're just such a great product. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get into this. So we're going to knock the top of that pepper off because it's pretty woody on the top, and then we're just going to split this vertically, or I guess horizontally. So I'm going to grab my discard bowl again. And now, most of the heat of the hot pepper is right here in those seeds. So because we are going to make a relatively approachable salsa, I'm just going to run my knife on there. And we're just going to take that center seed pod right out. I'm going to take that rib out of there too. So we're just going to take everything off the center of that pepper. We'll do the same with the other one. Now, if you want to increase your spice level, leave the seeds. That's the key to increasing your spice with any of your favorite peppers. And really, that's about it. You can blend them right down and get them really in there, or you can just kind of leave them in there and have them as a surprise every once in a while. But as far as this recipe goes for the pico, we're going to get all those seeds out of there because we want this very nice and relatively mild with a little bit of kick on the back end from the fresh pepper. So now really all I'm going to do with this, again, I'm going to take my knife, we're going to get really nice fine julienne strips because we're going to dice this very nice and fine. So there's one half, we'll do the other half here too. So really nice fine julienne strips, which will then turn on the side here, bunch them all together. And now we're going to dice these really nice and fine. So we're just going to go and get a really nice small fine dice on there. Now again, if you want to leave this a little bit chunkier, feel free. Have nice bigger pieces of pepper in there to kind of catch people by surprise, or if you just really enjoy the spice of the jalapeno. Again, because we're serving this to other people, we're going to keep this really nice and relatively approachable. So now I'm just going to take all that beautifully diced jalapeno and we're just going to drop that right on top of the tomato. And again, we're just going to kind of spread that around and let that citric acid start to activate all the flavor that goes on inside there. So the next step for this is cilantro. Now, cilantro for a lot of people is hit or miss. Personally, I don't like it when it's used inappropriately, but I do appreciate it when it belongs in a dish. I'm not going to use a ton in here, but we are going to add some because that coriander flavor really is a very important flavor for good Pico de Gallo, again, in my opinion. So we've got some cilantro here that we've washed up. Now, cilantro bruises very easily. So when you're washing it, you see it get a little bit like this, don't be worried, it hasn't gone bad, it's just bruised a little bit, and that's not a big deal. So again, what we're going to do is we're just going to pull the leaves off of most of these. So now, all we're going to do is we're going to take our knife and we're just going to start going at it. So again, fingers on the front of your knife, backhand, really nice firm grip on your handle. This is just going to keep your knife grounded to your cutting board, and you're just going to go across and you're just going to rock your knife back and forth and chop. Really simple way to bust down your herbs. And then we can just roll everything back into a little pile. And we can go the other way. And once you've got your cilantro nice and chopped, remember, because it's Pico de Gallo, it's kind of rustic, you can leave a couple of nice bigger pieces in there. We're just going to get all that into our salsa. All right, we're into the last couple of steps here. One of the most important things in salsa are your limes. The citrus and the flavor that you get out of this that permeates to the entirety of this bowl of goodness is very important. So we're going to use 2 limes. So we're just going to press on those a little bit just to get all those water bonds broken so we can get all that juice out. Take your knife, once again, just straight down the center. Oh, and these are awesome looking limes. Nice and soft, look very juicy. And again, we are just going to squeeze that lime. Oh yeah, those are really nice. All over that salsa, right into the bowl. Really work that lime, get all that juice out. We're going to get the other half. Oh yeah, these are fantastic. And even if they're extra juicy limes like this, all that extra lime juice is just going to make this extra good. So we're just going to let that get all over top there. And the last one. Just get that all squeezed out to that bowl. All right. Last 2 things for this salsa. Salt and pepper. For salt, we're only going to add about a teaspoon and a half. Pepper, about a teaspoon. We go a lot lighter on this because all we're doing is we're getting it in there to help activate those flavors and really help blend everything together. We don't want it to be salty or too much pepper on there because we don't want those to be your dominant flavors. We want the cilantro, the jalapeno, and the lime, all of that to be carried through with the tomato. We want that to really meld. So that's really all the salt and pepper is in there for, is to mix everything. So then all we're going to do at this point is we're going to grab a spoon and we are just going to start mixing. We're going to get that purple onion to the top, which once you start moving it around, you can really smell that onion because it's been sitting with that tomato on top. So that citric acid has been starting to break down the bonds. And the aroma is just phenomenal coming out of there right now. So really, that's it. At this point in time, all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of plastic wrap on top of this. I'm going to pop it in my fridge. I'd recommend you refrigerate this for at least 30 minutes before you serve it. But after that, it's good to eat. This will last at least, well, probably about 2 days in your fridge before it starts to break down a little bit too much and it becomes a little bit mushy. All you're going to have to do is drain off a little bit of excess water and you can get your chips right in there. Pico de Gallo is a classic. It's something that most people will enjoy. If you put this in a bowl of chips out on your patio, and there's not going to be a hand that's not going to at least hit that bowl at least once. And that's it. It's that easy. My name's Scott. I'm the Uncensored Chef. Thank you for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. It helps us out a lot. That's Pico de Gallo. I hope you've enjoyed what you've watched. Please come back soon and check out the next video. Have a good one.